Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today we will be presenting our study related to campus transportation and accessibility among university students. There are 4 members in our group. I am Nurfara Farisha binti Osman, Ku Muhammad Arif bin Ku Khairul Nizam, Muhammad Adli bin Muhammad Saleh, and the last one is Ain Shahirah binti Muhammad Shamsul Amri. Next, we will move to introduction. Campus facilities are essential to students' academic success, well-being, and overall university experience. The quality and accessibility of facilities, such as libraries, laboratories, internet connectivity, lecture halls, and sports centers, strongly influence student satisfaction and holistic development. However, inequalities in facilities across faculties and limited financial resources often create challenges related to fairness and inclusivity. Therefore, the study examines students' usage and satisfaction with campus facilities using quantitative methods and statistical analyses such as ANOVA and the chi-square test. The study aims to identify differences, relationships, and the impact of facility improvements on student satisfaction, while also highlighting the importance of equity and inclusive decision-making in campus facility management.
Then I will briefly explain about the data overview and methodology of our study. This study uses primary data collected through a self-administered questionnaire distributed via Google form to examine students' perception of campus transportation and accessibility. The survey focused on aspects such as availability, convenience, efficiency, and accessibility of transportation facilities, and their impact on students' mobility and access to academic facilities. A total of 35 valid responses were analyzed and the data were collected anonymously to ensure honest responses. In this study, the dependent variable, which is DV, is the campus accessibility level, while the independent variables, which is IV, includes campus transportation, satisfaction, gender, year of study, and colleges. Next, I will explain the method of analysis used in this study. First, descriptive statistics were applied to summarize the data using measures such as the mean and the standard deviation, supported by graphs like bar charts and pie charts. Second, two-sample inference was used to compare campus accessibility between different demographic groups such as male and female students. Third, a one-way ANOVA was conducted to examine differences in accessibility level among students from year 1 to year 4. Lastly, the chi-square test was used to analyze the relationship between categorical variables such as gender and transportation satisfaction. Right now, we will move to two-sample t-test. This slide explains the two-sample t-test used in our analysis. The objective of the test is to determine whether there is a significant difference in the mean travel time between students who use the bus and those who use private vehicles. In terms of rivals, the quantitative variable is travel time, which refers to the duration of travel from students' residence to lecture halls measured in minutes. The grouping of categorical variable is transport mode, which is divided into two groups. Group 1 consists of bus users representing public transportation users, while Group 2 consists of private vehicles users including cars and motorcycles. These comparisons allows us to analyze whether the choice of transportation mode affect students' travel time to campus. Moving on to the descriptive statistic for the two-sample t-test. The data were summarized using the stata command to show the number of observation, mean, and standard deviation of travel time based on students' primary mode of transportation. In total, 31 respondents were included in this analysis, consisting of 16 private vehicles users and 15 shuttle bus users. Students who used private vehicles recorded an average travel time of 8.44 minutes with a standard deviation of 7 minutes. Meanwhile, shuttle bus users recorded a higher average travel time of 9.93 minutes with a standard deviation of 7.54 minutes. Overall, the mean travel time was 9.16 minutes, indicating that private vehicles users travel about 1.5 minutes faster on average compared to the shuttle bus users. Now, let's look at the hypothesis testing for the two sample t-test. The null hypothesis, which is H null, states that there is no significant difference in the mean travel time between shuttle bus users and private vehicles users. In contrast, the alternative hypothesis states there is a significant difference in the mean travel time between the two groups. Based on the result, the p-value obtained is 0.5898, which is greater than 0.05 significant level. Therefore, we fail to reject the H null hypothesis. This indicates that there is a no statistically significant difference in the mean travel time between students who use the shuttle bus and those who use private vehicles. Next, we examine the result of the two-sample t-test. A two-sample t-test, assuming equal variances, was conducted to compare the mean travel time between private vehicles users and shuttle bus users. The result show a t-statistic of negative 0.5728 and a p-value of 0.5712. According to the decision rule, since the p-value is greater than 0.05, we fail to reject the null hypothesis, which is H null. This means that there is no statistically significant difference in the mean travel time between students who use private vehicles and those who use the shuttle bus. Although private vehicles users have a slightly shorter average travel time, the difference is not statistically significant. Now, let's consider the confidence interval for the difference in mean travel time. The 95% confidence interval ranges from negative 4.68 to 8.02, which includes 0. This indicates that the observed difference in travel time between shuttle bus users and private vehicles users is not statistically significant and may be attributed to random sampling variation. In conclusion of two-sample inference, the mode of transportation, whether shuttle bus or private vehicles, does not have a significant impact on students' travel time to campus. Both transportation modes provide comparable level of accessibility for students.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Now I'm going to continue by another test. So why we are doing another test? Actually, it helps us to understanding more the difference in crucial for improvising campus mobility policy and enhancing student commuting experience in university. So before that, actually, our independent variable is the transportation. By the time the dependent variable is current satisfaction level. So alright, first, for the independent variable, which is we want to know what the transportation that we use by the student, is we make a question in the Google form where we asking what is your primary mode of transportation within the campus. So in this study, we define that actually in private vehicle there was 45.2%, which is there are 16 respondents that being say they are using private vehicle. By the time there was 11.3%, maybe could say by four respondents that saying they are using e-hailing for their transportation. By the time there was 43.5% that say they are actually using the shuttle bus, which is there was a 15 respondent. So does this all respondents show us whether they are satisfaction or not? Not yet. So we're gonna continue to the next page. Alright, so like how I say, now you're gonna see the bar chart that show the satisfaction with their current transportation. So for this part, we have using a question with a scale which is we are asking them rate your satisfaction with your current mode of transportation, which is we are doing by 1 to 5, which is 1 is very disagree, by the time 5 is very agree, or maybe in this situation we could say satisfaction. So, to be the summarize, we do see actually there was 2.9 student that actually very disagree, where there are actually just one respondent. By the time in disagree, there were 5.7%, which is actually there was two respondent. By the time in natural, actually it show very positive, which is there are 10 respondents with 28.6%, and same back to agree, which is there was 28.6% with 10 respondents also. By the time very agree, actually it was the high which is there was 34.3% by 12 respondents. So actually, in this graph, we can see that actually a lot of respondents was actually satisfied with their current transportation. Now we're going to continue by mean test, which is there are three things that we want to check in. The first, the with the higher satisfaction is the private vehicle with mean 4.44. At here, we could see that actually a lot of students were satisfied by using their private vehicle. By the moderate satisfaction, they actually was 3.75, which is they are e-hailing. By the time the lowest satisfaction with mean 3.27, it was a shuttle bus. But from this mean test, actually we can see transport mode show overall positive feedback. Now, we actually already know our independent variable, dependent variable, and also we already know our mean. So now, let's start doing our one-way on Stata or ANOVA. But before we doing that, actually we must to do a hypothesis. So, for the null hypothesis, we say there is no significant difference in mean satisfaction level among students using shuttle bus, per vehicle, and e-hailing service. And for the alternative hypothesis, or H1, which is we say at least one transportation mode has a significantly different mean satisfaction level. So let's see. So there was the command that we use in starter, which is we use the command one way start mode primary mode cat, which is the ANOVA that we got. Next, we are use one way ANOVA to compare satisfaction level across the three transportation modes. From the starter output, we can see that the F value is 6.18 and the P value is 0.005, which is below than 0.05. This indicates a significant difference in satisfaction between at least one of the group. So, because the F value exceeds the critical value, we reject the null hypothesis, meaning the satisfaction level are not the same across all transportation mode. So looking at the mean value, private vehicle use show the highest satisfaction, heli use for in the middle, and shuttle bus use report the lowest satisfaction. So it suggests that auto travel time may be similar. The comfort, convenience, and flexibility of private vehicle likely contribute to higher satisfaction compared to the shuttle bus service. We are already here about another result. So now we're going to continue by categorical data analysis. Alright, so why we are do category data analysis? So the objective is there were two objectives. The first objective is to determine whether transportation mode, shuttle bus, private vehicle, and e-hailing is associated with student accessibility satisfaction, which is they can be seen inside our Google form. At the same time, we are use the chi-square test of independence suitable for the categorical variable, which is the transportation mode times the satisfaction level. At the same time, the data that we used, there was transportation mode for the three categorical, accessibility satisfaction like scale 1 to 5, observe frequent collection for a student survey which is we do n as 35, and depending variable which is the current satisfaction level. Same as ANOVA, before we doing our categorical data analysis, we will do a hypothesis, which is we do say at hash null, transportation mode and accessibility satisfaction are independent, which is not association. By the hash one, transportation mode and accessibility satisfaction are not independent, which is there is no association. So let's see. So for doing categorical data analysis, my crewmate actually doesn't use the Stata, but she used Excel instead. So here we conduct a chi-square test to examine whether the transport mode student use is related to their accessibility satisfaction. The result gave us p-value of 0.13, which is above the 0.05 significantly level. This means there is no statistically significant association between the two variables. At the same time, although the student using the different transportation mode may show small difference in satisfaction, the chi-square test confirm that these differences are not meaningful statically. So, in simple terms, accessibility feels consistent for most students, regardless of whether they use the shuttle bus, private vehicle, or e-hailing service. So, overall, the test showed that transportation mode does not influence how students rate accessibility on campus.
Alright, next for actionable recommendation. First, shuttle bus improvement. Shuttle bus services should be improved by increasing service frequency, enhancing comfort, and ensuring better reliability, especially during peak hours when student demand is at its highest. Second, safety enhancement. For safety measures should be strengthened by improving lighting and increasing security presence at bus stops and walkways in order to create a safer and more comfortable environment for students. Less sustainable and inclusive options. So for this, university should actively promote more sustainable and inclusive transportation options, such as encouraging carpooling initiative and providing better institutional support for e-hailing services to reduce congestion and improve accessibility. Alright, for reflection, fairness and equity. This study highlights the importance of fairness and equity in campus transportation services, where all students should have equal opportunities to access transportation that is safe, reliable, and efficient, regardless of their background or preferred mode of travel. Inclusive planning, the differences in satisfaction levels among students clearly reflect need for more inclusive transportation planning, which takes into account to diverse needs, preference, and daily challenges faced by students using different modes of transportation. Ethical and responsible decision making. Through evidence-based analysis, this study encouraged ethical and responsible decision making, ensuring that improvements in campus transportation are based on data and aim at enhancing overall student well-being. For conclusion, overall accessibility. In conclusion, campus transportation at UPSI generally provides good accessibility, as most students are able to reach their destination within a relatively short travel time across campus. Variation in satisfaction. However, despite the good level of accessibility, student satisfaction varies significantly across different transportation modes, indicating that not all services deliver the same level of convenience and comfort. Highest versus lower satisfaction. Students who rely on private vehicles reported the highest level of satisfaction due to flexibility and comfort, while shuttle bus users reported the lower satisfaction, mainly due to issues such as waiting time and overcrowding. This brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention.